These are the most difficult writing exercises that I've ever seen. Yet, if you can pull them off, you'll become a much better writer. And if you do one of these exercises and post it in the comments below, I will randomly select one author to receive a 1-year subscription to Bookfox Academy. Bookfox Academy is 10 writing courses, over 250 videos on things like how to write a novel, how to write a sentence, how to write dialogue, how to revise your book. I'll pick a winner after 1 month, so pay close attention to all the writing exercises in this video and take your best shot. But before I tell you the first exercise, let me tell you the exercises that I am not choosing. I'm not choosing meaningless exercises like write without the letter E. George Perec did that in his novel Avoid, and it is tremendously difficult. And it has sentences like, a rumor, that's my initial thought as I switch off my radio, a rumor or possibly a hoax. That doesn't make you a better writer, it's just endlessly frustrating. See, and even in that last sentence, I just used 6 E's. Another example of a writing exercise I refuse to use is one where there's no characters. Rob Gray does this in his book, The Voyeur. But I don't think you should write books without any characters in them. It's kind of a meaningless exercise. Every book needs characters. The 7 exercises I chose actually will help you become a much better writer. They're just incredibly difficult. My recommendation is to watch all of these before picking one to attempt. That's because my explanation of why and how each exercise will help you is really important. Also, I will start with number 7 and work my way up to the most difficult one of all, number 1. 7. The suspense exercise. In his book, The Art of Fiction, John Gardner has this very challenging writing exercise. Write the paragraph before your characters discover a dead body. Why is this so difficult? Because most writers go straight to the high point of the story, the discovery of a body, which is very easy to write. After all, it's a climax. There's obvious tension, but it's much harder to work on writing good suspense. So 2 questions. How can you make the reader feel like something big is about to happen? And 2, a related question, how can you make both readers and characters feel uneasy? Now, in this paragraph, you are not allowed to mention the dead body specifically. Why? Because your characters don't even know about it yet. This is a very difficult technique to master, but if you can write these type of paragraphs that hint at what's going to come without stating what's going to come, you will have readers eating out of your hand. Number 6, the tree exercise. This is a description exercise, but it is super difficult because you're not describing the thing that you're supposed to be describing. Confused yet? The French writer Alain Robbe-Grillet gave a writing exercise where you have a character describe a tree in a way that reveals the character's emotions. You can't say anything about the character, only about the tree. But the way the character describes the tree should tell the reader how the character feels. And don't get mad at me, I warned you, these exercises are hard. Also, just remember you can't use synonyms. If your character is feeling angry, they can't use words like mad or livid or incensed to describe the tree in any way. So here are some possible emotions to choose from: fear, happiness, sadness, or a feeling of calm. So why is this exercise good? What does it get you as a writer? Well, it teaches you that description is never neutral. Even seemingly mundane description of the world is telling the reader something very important about how this character perceives the world, because it's natural that their emotions are going to tint how they view this world. All right, quiz time. Can you tell the emotion of what this character is feeling? She sat beneath a weeping willow whose branches drooped low, tips slumping against the ground. One branch had broken, its dead leaves complaining in the breeze, and the trunk's scarred and weathered exterior seemed to hide more pain within. Decomposing logs rotted near the trunk, and the tree seemed to smell of decay. We have really negative words here like drooped, slumped, broken, complain, scarred, pain, decomposing, decay. So this character seems, and kudos to you if you guessed it, to be very depressed. 5. Single word of dialogue. This exercise was inspired by the television show The Wire. One of the best television shows ever, I have to say. In this episode, Jimmy and Bunk investigate a crime scene using only a single in a dozen different ways. So this writing exercise asks you to write a scene where you have 2 characters investigating a new place, and they are only allowed to communicate to each other using one single word, which means you have to create emphasis and context so that the word communicates something different every single time that they say it. For example, use the word fantastic. They managed to open the door without too much trouble. Fantastic. They find a dead body in the room. Fantastic. This time it's clear it's a little ironic, right? They find a clue, a bloody rag, and place it into an evidence bag. Fantastic. This limitation of dialogue teaches writers several things. 1, it forces you to use a single word to have several different meanings, which awakens you to the possibilities of language. 2, it helps you practice pairing dialogue alongside physical events. Dialogue usually doesn't happen in a vacuum. 3, it trains you to be super economical with language. One of the most common mistakes I see when authors are writing dialogue is they overwrite, and the characters say way too much. A single word of dialogue can be extremely powerful. 4. Compress time. This exercise was inspired by Tobias Wolff's short story, A Bullet to the Brain. It's a short story about a bank robbery where the entire second half of the story takes place in milliseconds between when the bank robber fires a gun and when it hits the character in the head. Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to write a paragraph that takes place in less than a second. Something needs to be happening physically inside your scene, something momentous, but you can focus on things like character thoughts as well. You don't only have to focus on the physical. An exercise like this teaches you to radically compress time in your fiction. Most writers only have one gear for writing. They write at clock time, which means things happen in real life at the same time as they happen on the page. But most experienced writers play with time, speeding up so things move really quickly like a raging river and stampede through the scene, or slowing it down. If you know when to slow down, which is at the critical moments, then you just need to know how to slow down. And that's what this exercise teaches you. Number 3, the zipper exercise. This exercise is about the unlikely juxtaposition between dialogue and actions. You are going to come up with informational dialogue. You're going to have a character who knows a lot or has memorized something. Have a character who's memorized something like all the positions in the Kama Sutra or maybe the entire book of Revelation. Have them recite that while they're doing something completely unrelated. For instance, someone bench pressing while reciting all the emperors in the Chinese dynasty. It's called the zipper exercise because the original example of this was someone reciting the history of the zipper while making love. Another popular example of this is when Forrest Gump is listing types of shrimp. While they are talking about shrimp, they are assembling and disassembling rifles and scrubbing the floor with ridiculously small brushes. Talking about shrimp on its own is not very exciting, and also doing all these activities isn't very exciting. But somehow when you mesh those two together, it's funny and entertaining all at once. Ultimately, you're looking for a strong relationship between the thing being described and the action that they're doing. Now, this is a difficult exercise because 1, you actually have to know something, which means you might have to do some research. But then 2, you have to choose the exact right action to pair it up with so that there's some sort of mental friction. This exercise is wonderful because it teaches you to convey information alongside action. And it teaches you to do characterization in unusual but very insightful ways. Almost to the end now. Number 2, the secrets. Meryl Streep was once asked, how do you imbue your characters with such power? And she said something very interesting. She said, I give each one of my characters a secret. That secret, which they don't reveal, allows her to portray these characters with an enormous depth. For example, after filming Kramer vs. Kramer, Meryl Streep revealed that Joanna Kramer never loved her husband. That's quite a powerful secret. So here is your writing exercise. Write 1 page of dialogue between 2 characters, and both characters have a secret. Your job is not to reveal the secrets explicitly in the conversation. Instead, through what these characters say and what they do, the reader should be able to guess what the secret might be. And let me just say, it's a great decision to have secrets that are revealed at some point in the story, but it's also a great decision to have secrets that are never revealed. The secrets that are never revealed are part of the iceberg, if you remember Hemingway's notion of a story where 10% of the iceberg is visible above the water, but most of the story is underneath the surface. A secret like that gives the story depth, but it doesn't have to be inside the story to impact the story. And now the one you've all been waiting for, the number 1 most difficult exercise. It is the Hemingway 6-word story exercise. This writing exercise is named after Hemingway's famous 6-word story. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. Oh, heartbreaking. And so this exercise asks writers to tell a complete story in only 6 words. Now, you might think this would be the easiest of all exercises. What? I only got to write 6 words? But you would be wrong. The French philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time. It takes more time, not less, to write something shorter. It takes a ton of time to compact something within 6 words. It demands conciseness, clarity, and profound depth. Yet doing so is going to teach you one of the most valuable lessons you can ever learn as a writer: the ability to convey emotion using only a few words. This is sort of the writing equivalent of that martial arts exercise where you put your fist 3 inches away from the board and have to punch your way through it. So take a stab at writing one of these, or perhaps a few of these, and remember to post your exercises in the comments below if you want a chance to enter the raffle for a free 1-year subscription to Bookfox Academy. Good luck!